In this very moment, I'm here to be a messenger. This is my role for this very video. And I can't say who I was sent from. I mean, I feel that it's coming from many different sources, especially as there's going to be many different people tuning into this video. And if you're watching this video, this message is for you. And also, I will share that this is not groundbreaking information that I'm going to share with you. This is not anything that you don't know. You already know this, but what I'm getting is that you need this reminder because I needed this reminder. And I am always sharing my experiences. And if you're tuning into my journey, we are in this moment reflections of one another. You could say I'm maybe like your future self if this hasn't fully landed for you yet, what I'm going to share. You can say that I'm your present self if it's in the moment and you're experiencing this and you've had this realization and you had it hit deeper recently. We're journeying in the present moment together. Or maybe you already are aware of this and you're just, it's a nice reminder, but it clicks and it clicks deeply. Maybe I'm a reflection of your past. And this is the very message that is coming through at this moment. So the message essentially is that spirit is bringing forth to you today, as well as myself, is that earth is changing. Earth is healing. And there are multiple versions of earth. So you get to choose what version you want to experience. And also, with this message, you're being guided to open yourself up to perceiving multiple perspectives, multiple realities at once. This is important because you are going to be vibrating at a higher frequency, and you kind of already are. You're kind of going back and forth, which is totally normal, totally fine. You are establishing a baseline frequency. So again, you have the choice of what reality, what version of Earth you desire to experience. And this ability to perceive multiple perspectives, but also root yourself in your set point is something that higher spiritual beings, and not higher that they're better, but just the frequency is higher than more of like the dense energy that we experience quite often here on Earth. Beings that are at this higher frequency are able to perceive multiple perspectives at once and also stay rooted into the reality, the perspective that they have chosen, that they align with. And so this is really important because spirit is wanting you, as well as myself, all of us, to think about when you have, been told, essentially, say if you were raised Christian, right? You were told that God is everywhere, right? And even in more of like a spiritual agnostic perspective, God is everywhere, God is in everything, God is all knowing. So if God is everywhere and God is in everything and God is all knowing, it's experiencing multiple perspectives. So then what does this mean? This is also inviting us to get comfortable with letting go of time slowly, not saying, I mean, we're still on earth, right? So we still have to experience time and the movement of time, but being able to understand that there essentially is no past, present, or future. It's all happening in the moment. And the way in which to experience what you desire or what might be the quote unquote future is to vibrate in the frequency of what that future is. Therefore, you are experiencing that reality. And 9 times out of 10, while you're in that frequency of what you desire, you're going to probably still see what it is that you don't desire or what's happening in the external world that is heavy, that is dense, that is chaotic and scary. And so you are being guided to find roots or take root in your desired frequency. And when you see yourself perceiving other realities, you're interacting with people in other realities, know that that might not be your reality. Yes, you might be experiencing it and seeing it, but in a sense, it's almost untouchable for you, right? So that is a bit that's the message that's coming through. And I guarantee you already know this, right? what brought this forth and inspired this video is that I had an experience over the weekend where I was having dinner with family, and there was a person there. Basically, this person was a heart surgeon, or is a heart surgeon. And this was, a special guest at dinner. And it was amazing to talk to him. Like, for one, let me bring it back to part of what I want to share. Okay. So as far as picking your base frequency is also in alignment with just being you, being the version of you that you desire to be, being in your excitement, being in your passion, enjoying your own energy. Right. And so that was the space that I was in when I went to this family dinner, even though I didn't really want to go. I mean, it was fine, whatever. But there was an experience there for me. And as I said, there was a special guest at this dinner, and it was a heart surgeon. And he was from New Delhi, from India. And one of my family members essentially, of course, introduced me. And then I sat down at the table with them, and she went on to share that I'm an astrologer and so forth. And he's, I mean, he seems curious or interested in astrology. And he asked me, if I was a Vedic astrologer. I'm not, which was totally fine. But we ended up having this conversation and bonding off of the connecting science and spirituality, because he, from my understanding, seems very spiritual, but also he is a heart surgeon. And it was amazing to sit at a table with someone who could really hold space for both worlds, because it doesn't come often for me. And I will also say that I tend to shy away from talking about what I do, my passion and how that's my work, for many reasons. But now I'm just in this space, like the way I've changed, I really don't care. And so to bring this, this all full circle into a close, I really got a clear perspective of the earth is changing and things are changing, not only, on a bigger scale, but for my own reality. I'm seeing the change real time as I'm talking to this person and then the other family member, and we start talking about sleep paralysis. And then we start talking about altered states of consciousness. And he shared with me that on a few occasions, he has had heart patients after, they go through their surgery. He has had them, a few of them, express how, or being able to tell him everything that they did in the procedure. They weren't, they weren't unconscious. They were under anesthesia, basically. So whatever state of consciousness you are there, but they were out of their body, so to speak, or they took on another perspective within their consciousness and was able to witness what was happening. And I asked him, I was like, well, how did that make you feel when they told you that? And, he was kind of like, it doesn't surprise, like it probably is like fascinating. It doesn't surprise him because the way he was raised, right, in Eastern thought and so forth about consciousness. But it was funny. He said some of his colleagues were a bit, anxious about it, or like, is that person, like, what's going on? Is this person an extraterrestrial? And so it's interesting to hold these different perspectives, or hold space for these different perspectives, and see where you are, and then also where other people are, and you can exist simultaneously. But just because they had the perspective that they do doesn't mean you have to change yours, or that yours is wrong and theirs is right, or vice versa. We can all coexist. And the key is knowing yourself, being anchored in your perspective, but also being open to hearing other perspectives, right? Being anchored in your frequency, which is of a high frequency. And the higher the frequency is that you hold, the easier, or just the more compassion, the more openness you have to other perspectives, and maybe a bit of detachment, not only from theirs, but also from yours too. Because it's like, when we were talking, I was kind of like, I don't really understand how it works, with sleep paralysis and so forth, or I can't say that this is the, what it means, and we even talked about a soul, and how I really resonate with the soul, or the consciousness, and the soul being within the consciousness, or I'm sorry, the body being within the consciousness, within the soul, not the soul being within the body. So we had a little conversation about that, and it was just an incredible time. Mind you, other people in the room could not even have fathom this conversation, and they weren't at the table. They were doing their own thing. They were orbiting the table. But my message here that's coming through, and this is a reminder that we can all coexist. As your frequency vibrates higher, you will able to see the multiple perspectives. You will be able to really see time like merging into one another and being in the present moment and understanding that, you know, this past, I'm just switching basically channels. I'm just switching frequencies, right? Whatever was quote unquote the past, that's its own frequency. That still is happening, but it's not relative to this very moment because I've shifted, but everything's happening at once. It's a lot to really try to rationalize. I definitely get that. And I take my time in processing this as well. But I really wanted to share this because I was so inspired by that interaction and just to have a conversation with someone who has a very intensive, very significant job and is in the environment, especially in the United States, to um, practice in that environment where there's certain protocols and there's like fear, there's misunderstanding, which kind of brings fear, there's uncertainty, but also to have this aspect of you that is connected to a greater consciousness and you're kind of seeing it all. It was so nice to sit with someone and have that kind of conversation and see how spirituality is in fact present in many different disciplines, right? The science, you know, and other things. And so I really see that, you know, my reality is shifting to be able to communicate with people like this because these are the kind of people that I want to commune with, right? People that are like merging it all back together. And so it's not this or that, it's this and that and all things. Like it's all encompassing. So that's what I wanted to share in this video. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm so curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them there as well. And I look forward to sharing again soon.